Sooner fans, Longhorn Nation, welcome to episode 97 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. We sincerely hope you had a fantastic Christmas holiday. I am not currently in my OU gear or in my OU studio because I am in the great state of Arizona, ironically, since Oklahoma plays Arizona. I'm in the great state of Arizona. I just got done golfing at the Duke in Maricopa, Arizona, Kevin. Can you guess who the Duke is named after?
Is it John Wayne?
John Wayne, very good. Very nice. Yes, John Wayne. So I knew I was playing at the Duke. I had no idea that this is why it was named that until we're pulling in on John Wayne Parkway into Maricopa. Nice little golf course. I mean, they're all nice out here. They're in the desert, and yet for some reason there is green grass as you've ever seen. And it was fantastic. 74 degrees, no wind. Just perfect. Just picture perfect. We don't have to go into my score. But we had a good time, Kevin. We had a very good time. I am in Arizona, and we're going to get to Oklahoma, Arizona. But we got to start with your boy, Kevin Durant, first. Kevin, a Texas Longhorn, acting like a Texas Longhorn acts. Sitting up here talking about how after not even a third of the season, maybe not even a half of the season, he's already upset about playing for Phoenix. He's already upset about the underwhelming supporting cast he has, the lack of draft stock and cap space and all the horrible things that are wrong with Phoenix Suns. And he, instead of taking responsibility for not being the player that everybody thinks he is, Kevin, he knew what he was going about. Dude, he knew what he was getting into. What do you think I'm talking about? They lost to Dallas, and the Boo Birds within the locker room, i.e. Kevin Durant, are starting to make noise about not wanting to play for Phoenix anymore, about being upset, about not seeing a future with the franchise. Kevin, come on, dude. What are we talking about?
Well, they completely mortgaged their future to get him.
He knew
and the
this.
Bradley Beal deal.
He knew this
was just as bad.
And he wouldn't have approved the Bradley Beal deal. He knew that. This is what I love about Kevin Durant is he creates the situation for himself. It's exactly what he creates. And then he turns around and blames other people for it for the reasons it's not working. Instead of looking in the mirror and saying, you know what, maybe I'm not as good as Luka Doncic right now. Because that dude looked like a stud. Luka Doncic wasn't complaining about his supporting cast last night.
Well, maybe he should be.
Maybe he should be?
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't need it last night against the Suns.
No,
I'll tell
he
you
did
that.
not. No, it never seemed like it was something that was going to work. Right?
I told you this.
Well, you didn't tell me. We knew this.
What are you talking about? It doesn't seem like it was going to work. No joke, dude. Of course it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, the way the team was constructed.
He sucks.
No, okay. You're just still bitter. You Okies don't handle rejection well. People saying that, they'd rather go work and play somewhere else. You guys don't handle it well.
Kevin, coincidentally, Twitter had one of those phishing questions right there that somebody throws out just to get clicks. You know what I'm talking about? When they just throw a question out there. Sometimes it's like, what's your favorite movie in the month of whatever? And it's like, okay. And normally I just scroll by it. Even the ones that I even find interesting, I'd scroll by it because I'm like, this is not really worth it. But it was, somebody asked, who's better, Kevin Durant or Larry Bird? I couldn't do it, dude. I took the bait. Kevin.
No.
Do you know what I said?
No, I don't.
We share this account. For everybody out there, we share this account. So these are also the opinions of Kevin Miller when I throw stuff out there. All right, you ready? What do you think I said? Let's start with this. What do you think I said?
Well, I mean, clearly you said Larry Bird because you think he's probably the second greatest player, at least top 3 player of all time.
Correct. That's correct. Anything else? Anything else you think I would have thrown out there?
Who knows? I mean,
okay. Let me just put the post. Let me just put my reply, and you tell me where I'm wrong. Is that fair? Okay, you ready?
Enough.
Larry Joe Bird, and it's not effing close. 3-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 3-time NBA champ, and he didn't have to go to play with Golden State to do it. All-time trash talker, dream teamer, and not a huge douche. Followed by a gif of him hitting the winning shot in the three-point contest and not even looking at the rim. What do you think about that? How did I get that wrong? Because I don't think I got it wrong at all.
I don't think the douche part was necessary. You had already stated you already made your case.
He's a douche.
When you add the douche part, it makes you look like a hater.
Yes.
When you already had
That's what I was going for.
Everything you said was correct, and I would have totally agreed with you.
Okay.
After the douche part, and you didn't need to. You had made
your
point prior to that.
Bombasticity aside, I am right though. I mean, come on, right?
You are. No, you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
But he's a Texas. Y'all claim him. He's a Texas. All he could get to y'all to was Elite Eight.
No. We did not get to the Elite Eight. We lost in the second round with Kevin Durant.
Oh.
No fault of him.
How'd that feel coming out of here? Oh, I guess he didn't have a good supporting cast. I guess that's what you're telling me. You think Larry Bird's supporting cast at Indiana State in 1979 was that good when he had to go play Magic? Do you think his supporting cast was very good with the Sycamores?
Larry Bird's a better player.
Thank you. This feels good.
I never argued with that.
This feels good today. We are 6 minutes and 22 seconds in, and I feel this might be the best episode we've ever done. I'm feeling fired up right now.
Where do you rank him historically? We're just talking about him as a player. I know it's hard for you guys to separate your personal biases when it comes to players who have done you wrong.
You mean all-time coaches? Oh, Kevin Durant?
Yeah. What's he on your all-time list? Top 20? Top 15?
Top 25. Probably top 25.
Top 25? Okay.
I mean, he might sneak into the top. He might sneak into the top 20. I mean, the problem with KD is if he wins those two, and not just with OKC, but let's play revisionist history. Let's say he leaves OKC, but I don't want to play with Russ. I don't want to play with whatever. I want to get out of Oklahoma City. I want to go somewhere else. Let's say at that point he leaves, and at that point he goes and plays for Boston, or the Knicks, or the Nets, or any team that hadn't won the last two titles with Stephen Curry. Okay, you following me? If he had so he leaves Oklahoma City. Okay, great. We're all butthurt and we're upset, but he leaves. But he goes to a different team and he leads the team to his two titles that he won. I think he's solidly in the top 15 players of all time. But that's not what he did, Kevin. He literally left and went to the coattails of the two-time defending champion at the time.
Believe it or not, they actually lost that year when they won 73 games.
But they had won two prior to that.
No, they had just won one.
They'd only won one?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, whatever. I just think it would have been different if he'd have gone to a different team and said, I'm going to go make this team my own and make it great, instead of being a role player on a historically good team. I said it. You heard what I said?
Well, I know what you said, but you're wrong.
Role player. Yes, a supporting cast.
Listen, I love Steph Curry. I think Steph's one of the greatest players of all time.
Best shooter of all time?
Kevin Durant was the best. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Best shooter of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I agree.
But no, KD was the best player on those teams.
Yeah, he was the best player. He might have been statistically the best player on those teams because he didn't have to be. Because he didn't have to step up. He's a follower. He's not a leader. Okay? If he was a leader, they would have done better in the Nets. If he was a leader, they'd be doing better with Phoenix right now. But he's not. He needs somebody else to be the man because he can't handle it. That's I don't know how else to explain. Come on, dude. Why'd you only get to the second round in the NCAA tournament when he was the best player in the country that year? The best player in the country can get you further than that. Blake Griffin got Oklahoma to the Elite Eight. I mean, best player. Buddy Hield got him to the Final Four. Best player in the country that year. And I think we'll agree that KD was better than both of those players, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He was unreal.
The Suns are not even in the playoff game. Where do they finish in the West? We'll move on.
I don't know, man. It's hard because we still haven't seen them. We haven't seen all three of them play a game together. They have a big three.
Is it
with
largely
Beal.
Bradley Beal? Is it largely Bradley Beal that's been hurt?
They've all been hurt. I mean, I don't know if KD's actually been hurt, but it's been both Booker and Beal, but it's been mostly Beal. Bill's only played a couple games all year, if that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Booker's been out too though with an ankle.
But
So
we've seen these. One of the few big threes that did work was Miami.
yeah,
Okay, and that LeBron was at his peak.
you had absolute peak LeBron, and it was scary,
You had
man.
you had absolute peak LeBron, and you have what some have argued, and I have a hard time. I have a hard time with this because I don't necessarily love him as a player, but some say that D Wade is the second best number 2 guard of all time.
Interesting. Oh, over Kobe?
Probably not over Kobe. Is Kobe a 2
I think
guard?
he'd be
I guess
third.
you're right. He
Yeah.
won't be over Kobe. Probably third. Probably third.
Okay. Well, yeah, if you think about it, there haven't been a ton of great shooting guards in the history
There
of the
really
league.
hasn't. Your better
Yeah.
players have either been forwards or centers or point
Or point
guards.
guards. Yeah.
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 So
I could see him being third behind
yeah,
Jordan and
I
Kobe.
don't know why I said I
Yeah.
forgot Kobe. And then of course Bosch, but I think what people forget is Bosch really what they called it the big three. Bosch was a very nice player for them. But I never really thought of him as some amazing player. They had enough money to
Yeah,
move
and
stuff
Bosch
around.
sacrificed though, because remember he was a 25 and 10 guy in Toronto, a perennial All-Star before he went there, but he took a significantly lesser role in order to try
Yeah.
to win championships. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun. And of course, the original Big Three, as far as teams that were not built from organically through the draft like it used to be back in the day, the original free agent Big Three, your Boston Celtics with Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett.
Yes.
That's the
And
original free
successful.
agent Big Three. Yeah.
And won an 08 title and should have won an 09 title, I think, if Perkins doesn't get hurt. If Perkins doesn't get hurt, I think they
completely
win
agree.
maybe game 6 and probably game 7. But
Yeah, so that one worked.
what was the big 3 with Karl Malone? Do you remember that one, which was just terrible when he went to the Lakers?
Oh, with the Lakers, yeah, it was actually Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton went there as
That's
well in
right.
2004.
God.
Remember, they made the finals that year, but they just imploded against Detroit. Remember
Yeah.
that? The
Yep.
Detroit team with Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Ben
That
Wallace.
was actually a pretty nice team. Unlike
It
the
was.
unlike the 2023-24 Detroit Pistons, who have now lost their 27 as of this taping, their 27th straight game.
Yeah.
Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State's on that team. Jaden Ivey from Purdue is on that team. And I think they're also complaining about their supporting cast because
And remember, they brought
terrible.
in Monty Williams, and they made him the highest paid coach in the history of the NBA.
Detroit did? No, I did not know
Detroit
that.
did, yeah. Yeah. And we see what the results are so far. It's perplexing because if you look at them, it's like
Is this Monty Williams' first year?
Yes, his first year there. Phoenix fired him after last year. And Detroit's like, oh no, come on. Not only will we bring you in, we're gonna make you the highest paid coach in NBA history, which look, I like Monty Williams as a guy. I think he's a pretty good coach too, but come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
He hasn't.
The highest paid
He hasn't
coach
earned the highest. Yeah.
No.
All right. Switching back to college football. This is a preview episode for the Alamo Bowl that is going to take place on December 28th at 8:15 Oklahoma time in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Oklahoma, number 12 versus number 14 Arizona Wildcats. The line on this game is 3 points to Arizona. They are the favorite by 3. The over-under 61 according to DraftKings. And however, ESPN Match Predictor has Oklahoma with a 75.3% chance of winning the game. We will pick this game, but anything about those numbers sound off to you, Kevin?
You know, it's interesting. It's hard with these bowl games nowadays, right? Because you just never know who's going to play. Back in the day, you just knew who was on the team. You knew who was going to be playing. Now with, this happened with the injuries that we've seen in a couple of bowl games. Remember Jake Butt, the tight end from Michigan a few years ago? They were playing the Orange Bowl against Florida State. And it's a New Year's Six game, but it's not a championship game, not a college football playoff game. He tears his ACL in the bowl game, and since then you've seen big name players kind of think twice about, especially if they're headed to the NFL, because
Well,
it really affected his draft stock.
I think about the linebacker from Notre Dame that got drafted by the Cowboys. He hurt himself against Ohio State in the
Jalen
Fiesta
Smith.
Bowl.
I mean, just a devastating injury.
And I don't think he ever recovered. I don't think
No,
he
he
ever
did not.
recovered
He
from
still
that.
got drafted in the second round, but
But
he
he
was
was
never that same
no,
explosive, freakish athlete that he was. He would have been a top 5 pick. He ended up going in the second round, but that's still millions of dollars when you talk about being a top 5 pick to go in the second round.
no. I mean, listen, I'm excited that they're going to the 12-team playoff. The bowl games to me they've run their course. They're unnecessary exhibition games.
Yeah, money grabs.
I'm going to enjoy watching Oklahoma. Listen, I'm going to enjoy watching anytime Oklahoma football plays. This isn't a shot at, my fandom or anything, but just in terms of the sheer number of bowl games and the number of guys that are leaving, these are exhibition games. They're essentially previews in a lot of ways of next year's team.
And I think that's why coaches like them, right? You get, 12 additional practices. And you got guys who are coming back next year. I mean, Jackson Arnold, these practices are invaluable for him.
The
Getting
offensive
all
line,
the number one reps.
the line that's going to be protecting Jackson Arnold. They need to
Getting
start
all these
gelling
young
right
guys.
now.
Absolutely. So I think that's why coaches really like these bowl games. Let me ask you this: have you watched any bowl games yet this year?
No,
This season?
no, that's a good question. No, I haven't, but I don't usually watch the pre-Christmas bowl games. We're recording this on December 26th. And speaking of that, Kevin, that's a good segue. The games I do start watching are the ones that I want to talk about, right? So games on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you start to see what I call real teams, Power 5 teams against other Power 5 teams. And I do start watching those games. On Wednesday, we've got Tulane versus Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is an 11-point favorite, which I find that to be fascinating. Did Tulane lose a lot of guys?
Well, they lost their head coach.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah, he left to become the head coach at the University of Houston.
And you know what? That's what you're talking about, though, right? I mean, Tulane had a heck of a year, but you're left in a way. And so, in order to bet these games, I'm not even going to have us pick them because I don't know that we're doing it with anything. But I didn't realize that. I guess that makes sense. However, I look at that line and I think, did Tulane forget how to play in 12 practices? Because I think they can roll Virginia Tech.
And again, agreed, right? I didn't even realize that Virginia Tech had made a bowl game, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Correct.
Right? But I guess it depends too, if they have anybody opt out. I don't know who's playing for Tulane. That's what's rough about this, right?
West Virginia versus North Carolina. North Carolina is a 6.5-point dog.
For North Carolina to be a dog, you'd have to assume that Drake May is not playing, because I know he declared for the draft. You would imagine that he's not playing in the Duke's Mayo Bowl if he's a projected top 5 pick in the NFL draft coming up here in the next few months. He won't be playing.
No, and I don't think he is, and that gets West Virginia. And did Texas play West Virginia this year?
No, we did not play West Virginia this year.
We did. They were, they're a well-coached team. They competed. They've got a little bit of talent. I don't think it's unreasonable that they're a favorite in North Carolina without May playing. I think they could win that game.
It was a pretty decent bounce back year for them, right? Neil Brown was absolutely on the hot seat going into the season, right? So,
well, I think his bounce back started when he beat. I think his bounce back started when he beat Oklahoma in 2022.
Yeah, that's true.
It was a down OU team, but
momentum.
It was a down OU team, but it was the first time.
That jersey still says Sooners on the front, right? So,
well, it was the first time.
It was going to be big for them.
It was the first time West Virginia beat them in the Big 12. So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. If someone can correct me on that.
I'm sure you're right. I didn't realize that.
Because
they've had some good teams since they've been in the
conference. They've had really good teams, and they've had teams that gone. Tavon Austin went off on us from rush for like 600 yards or something, but we still won the game.
Insane. Yeah.
Louisville against USC. USC is a 7-point dog to Louisville. That's a team you feel bad for, right? Louisville, to have a really, really good season and have to fall all the way to a Wednesday. What will that be? The 27th. That's just kind of the nature of how these bowl games line up and stuff.
Well, I will say this: it is a holiday bowl, though. So for those
You know
players
what,
getting a
dude?
trip to San Diego, so I'll take it if I'm a Louisville player.
Oklahoma, y'all were in the Holiday Bowl quite a bit, I feel like,
Yeah, in the
earlier in the
early
2000s.
2000s, we lived in the Holiday Bowl because I mean we'd always finish, right behind you guys. You guys would win the Big 12 South almost every year. We'd finish
Yeah.
right behind you guys. You guys would be 11-1. We'd be 10-2. You guys go to the BCS. We end up in the Holiday Bowl.
What was the when Major Applewhite played? That was a Holiday Bowl, right? Where they brought him back in off the bench and he led him back to a win.
Well, okay, here's what happened. He came back in 2001. Texas made the Big 12 championship game after you guys lost to Josh Fields and Oklahoma State in Bedlam.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, the next week, so we end up winning the South, and turns out we have a chance to go to the Natty if we beat Colorado, which we screwed that up.
I remember that.
Chris Sims, 4 turnovers in the first half, gets pulled for Applewhite. He brings us back. We end up losing the game. So in the Holiday Bowl, the next game, they start Major in that game, and he had a great game. We played against Washington, coincidentally, and it was a really good game. They were blowing us out and came back. In the game. So it was fun.
I remember that game. I remember that game, and I kind of remember in a we're not really pulling for Texas because we don't do that as Oklahoma fans.
Yeah, why would you?
To be very clear, but I was kind of pulling for Major Applewhite. I kind of thought, I always thought, and maybe it was just because of his performances compared to getting kind of pushed out by Chris Sims, and Chris Sims not ever really having, in my mind, performances that justified that. But anyway,
certainly not against OU. He never had that.
No. What did you think about that? Was it? I mean, did you respect choosing talent over proven productivity?
I did because the upside was sky high with him. He never reached it, but he was just too talented, man. It's like number one. It's like almost like you guys going Arnold over Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
It's like this guy's really good, but this guy can be a national championship winning quarterback, a Heisman type with Arnold. So sometimes you just have to go with the talent.
Back to the Holiday Bowl, Lincoln Riley, in the midst of probably the hardest time in his coaching tenure as a head coach. They're 7-point underdogs with whoever they're rolling out at quarterback. Do they have any chance of beating Louisville?
Man, if Louisville actually cares and shows up, I don't think so. I just don't know who's going to be playing for him.
Yeah.
Is it Miller Moss? I mean, I don't know. Did he go to the portal too? I have no idea who's going to be starting for them at quarterback.
It's not crazy.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State at A&M, battle of the little brothers.
Yeah, little brother bowl.
A&M is a 2-point underdog to Oklahoma State. Dude, if Ollie Gordon's playing, I'm picking Oklahoma State. A&M, however, I think in the last 5 games, have 5 games in a row scoring over 30 points. I don't know. Let me see what the over-under is. Maybe you take the over in this game. Well, it's only 54. I think maybe you take the over in this game, instead of.
If Bowman's playing, if Ollie Gordon is playing, then they're going to be able to put up points. Brendan Presley. Yeah. If all those guys are playing, then Oklahoma State can put up points. A&M, I don't know who's playing quarterback for them. The Johnson kid's gone. Connor Wegman's obviously out with an injury. I know they had a kid who played against, was it Ole Miss or Mississippi State, where they played late down the stretch, who played well.
Played a good game. Yeah, played a good game. Gave him a chance to win.
So who knows, man? They got a new coach. Maybe they're going to be eager to try to impress him.
Elko, I'm guessing, is not coaching them in the ball.
I wouldn't imagine he's going to be.
They don't do that, right?
Coaching.
They
usually don't do that. Yeah.
So
not an external guy. If he was like we saw this with Marcus Freeman, who had already been. He took over. Remember, from Notre Dame, but he was already on staff. So
yeah,
different case there.
Moving to Thursday, SMU plays Boston College. Boston College is a 10-point dog. Rutgers against Miami, former Big East matchup. Miami is a 1.5-point dog. Again, it's just hard to know about
Interesting.
these teams with who's
Yeah,
there.
Tyler Van Dyke has hit the portal, the quarterback
Oh, really?
from
So
Miami. So
that
that probably
speaks.
explains the.
Rutgers had a really good defense throughout the Big Ten season. So this is another one of those games where if you look at the over under, you see and the over under is 40.5. Okay.
Wow.
And I could see this in this scenario potentially going with the under, right? If you've got a backup quarterback for Miami and a good defense in Rutgers,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who the heck's
Yeah,
going to
you
win
see
the
that.
game. I don't know who the heck's going to win the game, but I guess if you're betting out there, you're probably looking at the
What
under,
bowl
right?
game is this? You know?
You know what? DraftKings doesn't have that listed.
Okay.
I can look it up real quick.
No, I'm just curious. I mean, there's so many of these bowl games, and they just have ridiculous names.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, because that could be. I'm pulling up the scoreboard real quick. Let's see.
Okay. But yeah, Miami, man, it's just they always seem like they're close to becoming a good program, right? Under Cristobal. They continue to recruit well. Okay, it's the Pinstripe Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the only cool thing about that is that it's at Yankee Stadium.
That is cool. I don't know. I think that stuff's cool, but it's still the bad boy mowers.
All
I have
the
a bad boy mower, Kevin. Kevin, I have a bad boy mower.
awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's
Cool.
tough. Double thick steel. Everything is very solid. I love the bad boy mowers. Bad boy mower, if you're out there and if you're looking for another sponsor, ship opportunity, please contact us at Boomer Bevo Pod at Twitter. NC State playing K-State. K-State's a 2.5-point favorite. I'm guessing they don't have Will Howard at quarterback, right? He's probably gone.
Yeah,
So
he's
here's
already in the
another.
portal, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
They do have
Thursday,
the Avery Johnson kid though, who's pretty talented.
I guess ESPN, somebody at ESPN was really high on him, saying he could be a Heisman Trophy winner in 2 years. Do you think he's that good?
I don't know about him. He's really athletic, man, and he could throw the ball. He's a true freshman, right? So you didn't expect much out of him. He came in a little bit against Texas, and thankfully he didn't get loose against us. But he's got some legit talent. He's probably the highest rated quarterback they've ever had as far as recruiting rankings go.
Arizona plays Oklahoma on Thursday, then into Friday, Kentucky, Clemson. Clemson's a 5-point favorite. Oregon State, Notre Dame, 6.5-point favorite to Notre Dame. Memphis, Iowa State, and then Missouri, Ohio State.
Yeah, that's the first of the New Year's 6 games there. The Cotton Bowl.
Did I miss that and put that on a different day? Did I mess that
No,
up?
it's Friday. No, you're right. It's Friday. It's just still part of the New Year's 6 games.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, they spread them out. Yeah, that's the first one. So, yeah, Ohio State at 11-1, ranked number 7, and then Missouri at 10-2. Great season for them, by the way.
Listen, dude, we're going to talk about Missouri as we go into next year with the Slinary kid adding, Caden Green, obviously. I mean, they've had some big wins on the recruiting trail. It's going to be interesting.
A kid, Chris McClellan, a kid out of Tulsa, who played 2 years at Florida. He was a high 4-star recruit coming out of high school in Tulsa. Like I said, played 2 years at Florida. He transferred. He hit the portal and announced today that he's going to Missouri as well. So they're building something there, man.
Do y'all play them in 24?
We do not have Missouri in 2024. We do not. They gave y'all the rough schedule in the SEC.
Yeah. Yeah, hold on. I have it here. Just to come on. Wish they would just tell us what it is. Just give me a pretty list here. Here we go. Yeah, Oklahoma plays Missouri November 9th. So we have
It's
Ole
in
Miss.
Columbia too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's South Carolina, Norman, Ole Miss, Maine, and then at Missouri. I'm telling that's going to be a tough. Dude, we have to finish at Missouri, Alabama, and LSU. So
at
two
LSU,
teams,
right?
Yeah, at Missouri versus Bama at LSU.
Jeez. That's rough.
Welcome to the SEC.
Yeah.
We'll see if Missouri is who we think they are, and I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see a lot of Jack. We know what Jackson Arnold's about. Before we start talking about that, Kevin, give us some Texas, any scoop, anything going on, any scuttlebutt from the playoff preparations happening in Austin.
Man, just know the team is hard at work, and from what I hear, preparations are going well. We have some guys banged up, and we're expecting to have everybody at or near 100% for the game next week. So, man, we're getting excited. Team is headed down tomorrow to New Orleans to start practicing on site. So, man, yeah, it's coming up soon. Next Monday, it's starting to feel real. So we're just getting excited, man. Hopefully, we can make something happen in this playoff.
Anything else happening in the transfer portal for Texas?
Yeah, man, they've had a really good portal transfer year. They picked up a kid, Trey Moore, from UTSA out of San Antonio, went to Smithson Valley High School, spent 2 years at UTSA. He was a athletic conference defensive player of the year this year. He had 14 sacks for UTSA, and now he's coming to Texas. Also, like we mentioned last week, they picked up Andrew Makuba, transfer safety out of Clemson. He's a 3-year starter for them. So, also Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Houston. He's going to be he'll probably be a starting receiver and a kickoff returner for Texas next year. So, portal's been really good for us.
Yeah, we haven't really had any updates or any anything added to the portal since Bauer Sharp. He was the last one.
Is he the tight end?
Yeah, what did I say? Did I say Bauer? That might not be right. Yeah, Bauer Sharp.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Bauer.
From what I hear, I haven't seen any highlights or anything, but I hear he's a talented athlete.
4-star, played, tight end. They lined him up in the Wildcat as a tight end. Obviously Deion Burks is the wide receiver, Spencer Brown. I mean, we still need to do some work on the offensive tackle, on the offensive line. We'll talk about who we'll see in San Antonio.
Here's the thing, you got to understand too that there's still players from some of these teams, even in the playoff, that are going to hit the portal. Just haven't announced it yet. So
yeah,
portal
season is not over, but for the University of Texas, I knew y'all were making some moves, and it's pretty crazy that Sark's able to balance that along with preparations for, for the bowl game. But I guess he's always looking forward. Okay, one more thing about Texas. We talked about this last time, but I'm gonna say this again because I got confused because we had the conversation, and you explained to me why Malik wasn't able to play, and it's because if he didn't commit, he might lose his spot. But I still see some guys who had entered the portal and even committed that are staying with their teams through the bowl games.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because I guess he wanted to focus on his visits. He wanted to find a team, be able to go and get visits before those good teams filled up. But he committed to Duke, right? I don't know if you heard that.
Oh, no. So I think I did hear that. Yeah. I did hear that.
So he's committed to Duke, but I haven't heard anything about him coming back. So I think he's just gone. I'm really surprised. We talked about this last time. I hate the timing of the portal.
Sure.
It just would be nice if the college football playoff ends on January 8th, the championship game. It would be nice if the portal opened January 9th. Yeah. And ran for a month or so after that. That would be,
I guess,
would be ideal.
I guess it has to do with the academic schedule.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. Sark made it a point. He was talking about the portal, I want to say about a month ago. And he was talking about the portal, how when a player enters the portal, they are off the team. They are no longer part of the team anymore. So despite the nice words about Malik and everything that they did to support him, and I'm not saying this is even wrong, but do you think that this is more potentially Sark's rule? Like, hey guys, you enter the portal, you're gone. Like, sorry, we love you, we're going to support you. You're fine, you're great, but you're not on the team anymore. Sorry. Is that possible?
That's a really good question. It's a good question, but no, because there are other players who were in the portal and still with the team and practicing now.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, then I'm still just confused. I guess.
I mean, from what I heard initially, it was like, he wants to be able to go and visit with teams and find a school before they take somebody else, and he ends up somewhere he doesn't want to be. I don't know. The thing with Duke worked out. I think he has a prior relationship with Manny Diaz, who's their new head coach. So, yeah,
Manny D.
interesting. Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
guy that
full
just,
circle, right?
oh my gosh, dude. And maybe he does well at Duke. I don't know. We'll see. But I feel like
He's
he's
gotten a
just a
lot of
dude.
chances.
Yeah, you talk about, so often they talk about retreads, and he's the capital retread. I
Well,
mean, they
I
just
guess this
keep,
is only his second head coaching job, right? Because he was going to be the head coach at Temple. He took that job, and then a few days after, once he was already there and working, Miami called him,
yeah.
which obviously he couldn't turn that down. So he leaves Temple, goes to Miami, he's there for a few years. He really doesn't work out, gets fired by Miami, and then I think he ends up, back at Penn State as their DC the last few years, which he did a really good job there. We'll see, man. It's a second chance for him. A lot of times you see this though. A lot of the best coaches are coaches who are on their second Power Five job.
Well, look at Sark, right? I mean, Sark has
Exactly.
not had this clearly not had this level of success, at Washington or USC. He didn't, and you
Yeah.
never got the sense that he was going to. I never
Yeah.
did.
Well, yeah. It's interesting if you look at Sark's tenure because when he was at Washington, they hired him and they had gone 0-12. They had a winless year. The year before they hired him, he got them to I think 9 wins his last year there. I think after 3 years, so going from 0 to 9 wins in 3 years. Then he goes to USC, and remember USC has all sorts of sanctions after you know the Reggie Bush stuff had come out. They had incredible scholarship reductions and everything. So I just didn't know. We had never seen him be overly successful, but he didn't suck either. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So it was kind of like I don't know. Like we've seen him do some good things. I just don't know how good he can be just because we hadn't seen it before. So
yeah. Well, hey, dude, he's in the playoffs right now. With a chance to beat Washington. We'll do a preview episode before that Titanic matchup happening down there. Before we start talking about and get in depth and breaking down the Alamo Bowl, we want to do a shout out to Brown O'Haver. Brown O'Haver is a public insurance adjusting firm. They work for the insured, not the insurance company. It's their job to get you paid more money more quickly for your insurance claim. So if you've had a loss to your home or your business from a fire, wind, theft, tornado, flood, water damage, whatever the case may be, you want to call Brown O'Haver 405-735-5510. They will get you paid 30 to 40% more than you get on your own. Brown O'Haver. Kevin, Oklahoma's going to you and I's hometown, San Antonio, Texas. I went to the first ever Alamo Bowl game. Do you know who played in the first Alamo Bowl game? Have we
oh
already had this
man,
quiz?
I
Have we
don't know
already
if
had
we
this
have.
quiz?
Maybe we have because since Texas played there. But was it Purdue and Kansas State?
California and Iowa. California and Iowa.
California and Iowa.
37-3. Cal beat Iowa 37-3. I was at the
What
game
year was
in
this? 90.
93, 94.
Was Tony Gonzalez still at Cal? Was
Maybe,
starting in the
probably.
NFL? I'm curious. It would make sense
Probably.
right around that timeline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just trying to think who would have been on any notable players that might have been on either of those teams.
Yeah, it's surprising because they did not have a Southwest Conference tie-in. They didn't have a Big 8 tie-in. They had to go out to the Pac-12 and then up to the Big 10, and then slowly they've kind of worked it around. You talked about the Holiday Bowl earlier. This game has kind of replaced the Holiday Bowl. It's kind of like
Completely agree. Yeah,
jumped
they switched their
them.
allegiances there.
Yeah, in prestige though, right? Like this is kind
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
old
so.
Holiday Bowl matchup that you and I always liked back in the day, right?
Yeah, the old Big 12 and Pac-10 was what
Yeah,
it was
Big
at the
12,
time.
Pac-10,
So
and really
some
it
good
was the
matchups.
two. Yeah, it was the two teams that had really, really good years that year and just didn't quite make it
Hmm.
into whatever, the next
Yeah,
tier was.
conference. Yeah, BCS or college football playoff now.
Arizona coming off a really good year, 9-3. Their head coach is Jed Fish. Offensive rankings, I think, is where we need to keep an eye on this. Their offense is 8th in EPA per play and 6th in success rate in the country. and you compare that to Oklahoma, who's 9th in EPA and 7th in success rate. So the offenses are very comparable, right? Those statistics indicate you have very comparable offenses. Now, some are going to say, well, Oklahoma's lost Dylan Gabriel, Oklahoma's lost Caden Green. There could be a drop off there offensively. I do agree with that, but I'm going to say I think that Oklahoma with Seth Luttrell is going to concentrate a little more on the run. I think they're going to get run heavy. I think Gavin Sawchuk, Tawi Walker, speaking of transfer portal players, is still there. I think they're going to lean heavily on those two. I think Sawchuk is finally feeling better. I think you're going to see a lot more run production with him. And I think JFA can throw the ball well enough to not, what's the right word? I don't think you're going to see just a complete fall off a cliff from Dylan Gabriel in terms of performance. I think with 15 practices to get ready to play Arizona, I think Arnold is going to be in really, really good shape. On the defensive side of the ball, Arizona, here is where the matchup starts to get a little wonky. Defensively, they are 46th in EPA, 68th in success rate. Oklahoma, 25th and 34th. So Oklahoma on the year, a better defensive unit than Arizona. So if the offensive units are similar and the defensive units are pretty favorable for Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is returning all of their defensive starters less the kid's blanking my mind. He entered the transfer portal.
Pearson?
No, Pearson didn't enter the transfer portal, did he?
Oh, he didn't? Grimes?
No, not Grimes. No, the safety. The safety. Oh, we just talked about him. Crap. Came from Tennessee.
Oh, Key Lawrence.
Key Lawrence. So we're really losing Key Lawrence and maybe Reggie Grimes. Okay, that's fine. Everybody else, obviously, big key wins. We talked about keeping Stutzman and Billy Bowman. Woody Washington's playing. By the way, is he going to go pro? Or does he want to play in the SEC?
I mean, he's already a fifth-year guy, right?
Apparently that doesn't matter, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Why is he playing in the Alamo Bowl?
Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe, if you're not a guy who's going to be, if you're not going to be a top, 3-round guy, I see no point in holding out.
You want to see, you think you want to stay visible?
Yeah, put something good on tape. Yeah, he's got a lot to prove. And now, Billy Bowman would have declared, I wouldn't expect to see him playing in the Alamo Bowl. Right. Stutzman either, for that matter, but yeah, if you're Woody Washington, yeah, you got to play.
Anyway, my point is I think OU's defense, they need to recover from performances at BYU and end of the year game against TCU where they didn't look great. Let's face it, they just didn't. We got run over all over in both of those games, and of course the two losses. But I think we're a better defensive unit, maybe with some time, some health, everybody's feeling better. I think we should have the advantage on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm having kind of a hard time getting to this 3-point line in Arizona's favor. After hearing that, what I just threw out to you, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of this comes down to who's excited to be there, right? What's the mindset going to be of your team? Are you fired up to play in the Alamo Bowl, right? Or you're like, it's the Alamo Bowl. We were this close to potentially being in a New Year's Six or even the college football playoff, right? Are they going to come in flat? Arizona, they won, 5 games last year? If that, maybe 3, right? So they're going to be fired up to be in a bowl game and to be in a bowl game against the University of Oklahoma, right? I think you're going to see their best. This offense is really explosive. I've seen them play a few times. They've got 2 really good receivers, Jacob Cowing and the McMillan kid. I can't pronounce his first name. I'm not even going to try it. But the McMillan kid was a 5-star recruit coming out of Southern California, had committed to Oregon, and then late in the process flipped to Arizona, which I thought was just bizarre. Yeah. This get 80 catches on the year, over 1,200 yards receiving, and 10 touchdowns. This is a guy who's going to play one more year in Arizona. He's going to go to the NFL. Probably going to be a first, second round pick. It's the kind of guy that you'll be facing on one side.
Well, and listen, the kid throwing him the ball is no slouch. Noah Fafita, the quarterback, 73.6% completion percentage, 8.5 yards per attempt, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, sixth in the country in total QBR. Sixth in the
Yeah,
country in
man.
total QBR. It's
This is an
pretty good,
explosive
dude.
offense. They run the ball. They don't run it a lot. When they do, they're pretty effective. I think their leading rusher is averaging what 6.9 yards a
Yes.
pop. So it's going to be a challenge for you guys. Right now, you guys are really good defensively. I think if you get pressure, obviously you'll affect that. I want to see how you guys cover though, right? Because it's tough when you have it's kind of like Texas coming up with Washington, which we'll get into on our next episode. But they have a lot of guys for you to cover, right? It just
Well,
becomes difficult when you see that.
I agree, but to my earlier point, we're covering them with guys that are been consistent starters. We're covering them
Yeah,
with Gentry Williams, Woody Washington, Billy Bowman,
it's
Pearson,
a fun matchup.
Dason McCullough. I mean, we're
Yeah,
we're
it's a really fun matchup with that
for all
at
intents
full
and
strength.
purposes, we're at full strength on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
So
Look, you have better players, right? We go top to bottom. You got better
yes,
players.
yes.
So I think really it comes down to how fired up are you guys. You guys are gonna be at your best from a
I mean,
mental
to
from a
to
mental
your
standpoint.
point, Arizona's attitude is this: is their defensive back Martell Irby. This is our championship game. We're not really riled up about sitting out. Nobody wants to be on the sideline during this game. I mean, they're treating it like a championship game, and they probably should. It's Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely should. Correct. They're a building program, so it's a huge step for them.
Yeah. Now, is Oklahoma? I don't know, but I do think the okay, I keep saying it. The fact that guys stayed, and then I think Jackson Arnold being the starter is creating a little bit of energy on the offensive side of the ball, right? I think
Well,
that
I think
there's
so. And Levy's gone, right? So you have a new coordinator. So it makes you wonder what the play calling is going to be like. They can have a whole new scheme out there that Arizona has no idea what to prepare for, right?
speaking of that offensive play caller. Let me throw these two stats at you. The last time Arizona played in the Alamo Bowl was 2010. The head coach was
2010. Oh, was it Mike Stoops?
Mike Stoops, and his play caller was
Oh,
Seth
was it
Luttrell.
Latrell? There you go.
That's
Full
correct.
circle, huh?
Luttrell is, unfortunately or fortunately for Oklahoma, we're going to find out if he breaks the spell. As a offensive coordinator or head coach, Seth Luttrell is 0-10 in bowl games.
That's very interesting.
That's nuts, dude. Because
That is.
I mean, you think by accident. However, I will say for a stretch of those, they were at Arizona and at North Texas, where probably in most bowl games he was the underdog.
He
Is
was the
that
underdog
probably fair to
oh, yeah.
say?
Absolutely.
So I don't know that we hold that against him. We'll see what he does
No.
with Oklahoma. Real quick, Jackson Arnold is going to be our starting quarterback. Sawchuk and Tolly Walker are our running backs. Offensive line, the depth chart, which you wanted to say something to Coach BV about putting out a depth chart
Yeah,
real
just
quick.
for content purposes, pretty cool to see a bowl game depth chart, right? Because with these games, it's hard to keep track on who's playing or not, right? So many
Well,
players opt out. We just talked about. We understand why they opt out, but just hard to know who's playing. So it's cool to see. Okay, this is who I expect to see on the field on Thursday night.
Well, the entire time I was getting ready for this podcast in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know who the heck the offensive line is going to be. Like I just have no idea, and I'm not even sure, what to look at to find it. And then he puts out a depth chart a couple days ago, and I'm like, thank goodness, so I can.
Yeah. So who's playing? Why don't you let everybody
Okay,
know who's going to be
left
playing on
tackle.
the
It
offensive
looks
line?
like Rouse is playing left tackle. He's not
Okay,
opting immediately for the draft.
so he's
Um,
declared but not opted out.
That's correct. The left guard is going to be Caleb Schaefer, backed up by Heath Ozeta. Ozeda's a true freshman. Looks like the coaches like what he's been doing. So that's going to be a position to watch to see if Ozeta gets some time in there at left guard. Center is Troy Everett. Right guard is McCain Matoir. He said early on that he was absolutely going to play in this game because he didn't want to leave Jackson Arnold out there on an island by himself, which I thought was a kind of a
Yeah, that's
stand-up
cool.
move.
Yeah.
So again, that's telling you that these guys want to play in this game, I think,
Yeah.
right? I think that there's a give a rip meter, might not be as high as Arizona, but not as low as, what it could be.
Yeah.
And
We've
then
seen that
right
with
tackles
Georgia, Florida
Jacobs.
State.
Oh, well, golly, Florida State. I don't 14 players out on their
Yeah.
top 22. And then their
Yeah.
quarterback, I guess I didn't realize, but Rodemeyer's not even playing. He's out
Yeah. He's
too.
in the
He's
portal.
transferred.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Isn't that
crazy.
crazy? You go from with the undefeated season.
The right tackle is Jacob Sexton. Now Sexton had some issues throughout the year with some penalties and things like that. So this is an opportunity for him maybe to get a fresh start. But yeah, so that's our offensive line. So in terms of question marks at offensive line, you know what you're getting with Rouse, Matoir, really Sexton. I think it's going to be Schaefer and Everett at center, where you're going to want to see if we can hold up. I don't think Arizona is Alabama on the defensive line, but looks like they've got some athletes and they don't have any opt-outs or anything like that. So it's going to be a pretty decent matchup. But think I think this offensive line is going to be able to cobble together something to be able to
Yeah,
put an offensive game
this is
plan
not a
together.
complete rebuild job. Your concerns are for next season.
Yes. Oh yeah.
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 This game does not count for the concerns, slight panic you're hearing from Sooner Nation. That's not about this game. That's for who
No.
you have lining up.
Well,
Week
especially
1.
with
Who do y'all open
this.
up with next year?
Well, I just told you what it was.
Yeah.
Who do we open up with? We're gonna have 3 games to get right. Temple, Houston,
Yeah.
and Tulane.
Yeah.
Temple,
Temple. So
Houston,
we start off
Tulane.
against Temple. That's what you guys are worried about right now.
Yeah.
Not the Alamo Bowl against. You still got guys.
No, 100%. So I think and I think back to when we played Florida State last year. I was much more concerned about how we were holding up against Javon Curse and those dudes on Florida State's line, and we really did a pretty decent job on the offensive line.
Yeah,
So
Jared Verse did not dominate like we've seen him dominate before.
yeah. So
Looking forward to
anyway,
seeing him in the NFL, by the way.
as far as wide receivers go, uh, Anderson and Farouk look like your starters, backed up by Gibson. Here was a backup though that I found to be pretty interesting. On the depth chart, it showed LV Bunkley Shelton. I saw today though that there was a good chance he's transferring. Is he staying?
Oh, really?
I don't know if
I
this is
haven't
another.
I haven't heard.
It was
It should
really
be
on.
a second transfer.
It was on Twitter. So I LV Bunkley Shelton transferred in. I thought, why did I think he had signed
Yeah.
with OU? Oh,
No,
okay.
he came from Arizona State or something like that. I remember Texas recruited him out of high school. I remember him coming to visit Austin. I think this was Herman's last year. He's been around for a while.
I think with Anderson, Farouk, Gibson, Brennan Thompson, Petaway, bringing in, and then when you add Andrell Anthony back into the mix, and then bringing in the kid from
Houston.
Deion Burks, the
Oh,
kid
okay,
from
yeah.
Purdue,
You have the
Deion
talented
Burks.
freshman, Kearney too from Texas.
Yeah, I think there's probably some writing on the wall for LV Bunkley Shelton that maybe he's
Yeah,
not.
it's just kind of buried, getting recruited over. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. Slot, we're going to see Drake Stoops play his last game as a Sooner, backed up by Gavin Freeman. Petaway's listed on the chart. I want to see Petaway, dude. I want to see Petaway and Brendan Thompson. I want to see these
I was
guys get
really
in the game.
surprised that Petaway didn't get more run as the season went on.
Yeah.
He showed up in the first game. He looked really good. Good route runner. So yeah, I was surprised that he didn't get more run. And as far as Brendan Thompson goes, man, he's fast, but he's still developing, learning how to play receiver. I mean, he's a go route guy right now.
I hear you, but his go routes are pretty darn effective, dude. Every time he was in and ran a go route, I feel like we capitalized on it either with a catch or a pass interference.
Yeah, yeah. And again, you got other guys, so you just got guys you can rely on a little bit more right now.
I'll tell you what. I don't know if I speak for Sooner fans, but I feel like I do when I say I would rather see Petaway more than Gavin Freeman. I think the upside with Petaway is better. I think Gavin Freeman is a nice story, but I'm kind of done with the Gavin Freeman storyline. Give me Jaquiz Petaway.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. He's really small. He's a tough kid, right? But I think really your frustration comes more from his decision making on as a punt returner,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
A few
100%.
months
Yeah,
from him.
you're right.
So we'll see. But yeah, I love Pettaway's upside. Texas really recruited him hard. We really wanted him in Austin because he would have been great in Sark's system. So maybe he just hadn't figured out the whole offense yet, or you just trust some other guys more. Like I said, I was a bit surprised that he played so much in your opening game. I don't know you guys just destroyed Arkansas State, right? They're not a good team. But seeing him out there early, you would thought you would have seen more of him.
All right. We have to pick this game. Oklahoma is a 3-point dog to Arizona in San Antonio. I think that we will have more fans there. I think that we're more talented. I think we're the better team. I think we have basically our full complement on defense. I know that Vegas is betting down on Jackson Arnold and Dylan Gabriel, but I don't care. I'm taking Oklahoma to win and cover.
Okay. Do you think that's the reason why? Is the Dylan Gabriel to Jackson Arnold?
I feel like now that we've been talking, you think it's the give a rip meter. You think the give a rip meter
Yeah.
is lower for Oklahoma. And I would agree with you, except all the dudes that want to stay and play.
Yeah.
If the give a rip meter was so low, why is Walter Rouse, McCade Matoir, and whatever happens with Woody Washington, why are all these guys staying?
Yeah. I agree. Especially with Walter Rouse. That's really the most telling one because he could potentially a first round pick
You think
at
so?
offensive tackle.
You think so?
I've heard. I've heard. I mean, he's at least an NFL guy, right? I don't know if he's going to go in the first round, but I think the NFL likes him.
Probably going to
Who's
go
your
down.
other?
Probably
Who's your
going to
other
go
tackle?
down as one of the most recognizable blocks. It's going to be Jacob Sexton. Probably going to go down as one of the most recognized blocks in Oklahoma history was him blocking two players when DG threw the touchdown pass to Nick Anderson with 30 seconds left against Texas. Two dudes.
Yes.
One guy, two dudes. Oh, it was fantastic.
We,
So good. So who you pick?
yeah,
So
we just got to cover Nick Anderson.
all right, who you picking?
I'm picking OU to win that cover. The 3-point spread. You have better players. You're a deeper team even without the the guys that you're losing, the guys who aren't playing. Better players, like you said, more fans. But I do think that Arizona will put up points against your defense.
I gotta
Just
tell you
because
though,
they're so explosive.
listen, I know I'm in currently I'm in Mesa, Arizona, outside of Phoenix, which I get it. It's not Tucson. Tucson's about an hour and a half south. It's weird because it's on I-10, but it's kind of like an hour and a half southeast of Phoenix, right? Tucson's on the border of Mexico. But I'm still in the state of Arizona, you know? And you would think when you're out and about, because I've been out and about, I've been in restaurants, went shopping, golf today, whatever, that you'd see some Arizona gear on. But you just don't, dude. You just don't. Fans just don't really care about Arizona football. They really, really don't. And so
they're a basketball school, right? I mean, they're borderline blue blood when it comes to basketball, aren't they? So
how good are they this year? Do you know?
I think they're ranked in the top 10.
Dude, I'd listen. I was an Arizona fan back in the 90s when you and I were growing up. Mike Bibby and oh gosh,
Miles Simon.
Miles Simon, man, those kids were good, dude. Luke Walton was a good player for them.
Also, shout out to Sean Elliott, University of Arizona.
Sean Elliott's final game as an Arizona Wildcat. He lost to Oklahoma in the 1988 Final Four.
Oh, there you go.
Who else was on that team?
Played Kansas, right?
Was Steve? Yeah, thanks. Was Steve Kerr on that team?
Yeah,
I think it was Steve Kerr and I think it was Steve Kerr and Sean Elliott got beat by Oklahoma, 1988.
Who was on that OU team?
Stacey King, Mookie Blaylock, probably the better player. I think Mookie Blaylock proved to be the better player. You had Stacey King, Mookie Blaylock, Ricky Grace, Harvey Grant, Horace's twin brother. And then I always have a hard time with the fifth guy. He was the white guy. He was a shooter. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I'll be able to tell you. Hold on. I'll be able to tell you. I always have a problem with who it was. Real fans are gonna be mad at me.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, I was only 10. Dave Seeger.
Okay.
Dave Seeger. Yep. He was your starter. He was a
Real quick,
senior
earlier.
forward. Averaged 10.9 points a game, 4.9 rebounds, 3.5 assists. He was a really nice player. Stacey King averaged 22.3, 8.5. Harvey Grant was 20 and 9.4. Mookie Blaylock was 16.4, 4.2 rebounds, 5.9 assists. And I don't know if they have his, but his steals were really high back in the day.
I was going to say where the
They
steals
did,
at because I remember him being a
yeah.
steals champ in the NBA.
He was a first round 12th pick, 12th overall at 6 foot 180. 6 foot 180, and he was the number 12
Did
overall
Atlanta
pick in the
draft
89
him?
draft. Hmm?
Did he get drafted by Atlanta? Who drafted him?
New Jersey.
New
I think he
Jersey.
was
Okay.
traded pretty quickly, though. I only
You
remember him
know,
with the
back
Hawks.
in the day, they used to teams used to trade players quickly. Remember Chris Webber got traded after 1 year?
Yeah.
It
Well, I
was
mean, look
weird,
at
right?
Kobe was traded on draft night.
Yeah, but that's before he played a game at least, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so sometimes what happens is a team might want a player, they'll tell the other team, hey, draft this player for us and we'll trade you whatever you want. That's how the Spurs got Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
They asked Larry Bird, your boy, Larry Legend, he wanted George Hill and said, okay, well, hey, draft this Kawhi Leonard kid for us at, I think, 11, wherever they were drafting, and we'll trade you George Hill for him. They did that, and there you go.
Yeah. Well,
Real quick, earlier I was saying you have a tackle that might go in the first round. It wasn't Walter Rouse. It was Tyler Guyton I was talking about.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's
who is
not
not
playing.
playing, right? Yeah,
Yes, Tyler
that's who
Guyton
I
is
was
sitting
referring
out.
to,
And
not Walter Rouse.
no issue there with Tyler Guyton sitting out. I mean, dude, if you're an offensive lineman, you don't need to get your knees rolled up on
Yeah,
against Arizona and Alamo Bowl. It's just stop. I think you're fine with that. I guess
yeah,
Davis Bevel is transferring. An OU fan was
I
all
saw that.
butthurt about that. I don't know why. Why are we
Why?
getting who? Why do I care if
Why?
Davis
Yeah,
Bevel transfers?
yeah, guy who's never going to see the field for you ever again.
Yeah, it's like thanks for playing, bro. I mean, great. I appreciate it. Like I don't know
Yeah,
why why does OU fan and you talk about us being kind of psychotic all the time anyway, but why do we pick and choose the guys we're going to be psychotic about? Like
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know,
I
but
saw
yeah.
I saw us getting fired up, and I'm just like, I don't even understand what's happening.
Well, I saw some, and I'm not obviously this is not all OU fan, but OU fan on Caden Green's dad's business giving him 1-star reviews. I'm like, come on, guys.
Okay. There is some IP hackers that determined, at least according to their reporting, that those ratings originated in Missouri. That potentially it was Missouri fan trying to make OU fan look bad.
Oh, really? I mean, look, to me, if you have that kind of time on your hands, I mean, like, just you gotta get a life.
Oh, just
Seriously,
stop it. Stop it.
get a life.
If it was OU fan, it was stupid. I mean, come on. Just
Yeah,
whatever.
like grow up.
All right,
Grow
dude.
up.
What else going on out there, Kev? Oh, real quick, your Dallas Cowboys can find ways to lose football games on the road in a multitude of ways. But man, they just look dumb against Miami. Did
They're
Miami make
so
them look dumb, or are they
no,
just dumb sometimes?
they're just so undisciplined, man. They're just undisciplined.
Yes.
Like all
Yeah.
these penalties, you're the most penalized team, in the league. You got guys, you get a drive. I mean, both sides were very inconsistent, right? But then you get a drive to take the lead with a few minutes left. And then the first play, you face mask the guy, give him 15 yards. I mean, then you're playing 12 yards off their receivers, knowing that they only needed a field goal to win the game. So, of course, they're just going to take the short route and just keep driving and driving and driving. So you can see that coming from a mile away. As soon as they scored, it's like there was way too much time on the clock, and they just handled that last drive horribly. They're just all over the place, man. And it's frustrating because they have the talent to be a championship team. They're a Super Bowl caliber team right now.
Right now.
But it's like Yeah, but the coaching is very inconsistent, and some of the decision making, they're just so all over the place when it comes to a discipline standpoint. It's frustrating to watch.
The Cowboys have historically been undisciplined, and
Yeah, other than the first few Jimmy Johnson years, I mean, they were pretty disciplined on the field, but that's only a
yeah,
couple years.
but then they got Barry Switzer, and they really weren't. They were not disciplined on the field. They won on sheer talent alone. They won that Super Bowl.
Yeah,
They were
well,
just simply
Switzer.
better than everybody.
Yeah, Switzer was more of a laid back, approach, players coach. You're kind of the guy at the ship where Jimmy Johnson was staring it, and he
Absolutely.
would cut guys for
But then,
basic,
but then,
simple mistakes.
but fast forward into like the Jason Garrett years. I mean, they were very.
Yeah,
He would. You never had the sense that he had control of that team.
no,
And now Mike McCarthy just
McCarthy.
feels a lot the same way, that you almost get the sense that they're just out. I don't know. I don't get a vibe that he's the guy at Dallas, but
Yeah, they're not
whatever.
running
We'll
the
see.
ball well either. That's a concerning thing.
Is that offensive line, or is that Pollard still not 100% back from that knee injury?
I think it's maybe a little bit of both. I mean, they didn't have Tyron Smith against Miami, right? You got a potential Hall of Fame left tackle out. It's obviously going to affect things. But I don't know, man. You would expect them to lean on the run a little bit more without him. But man, I don't know. They're just so inconsistent. The receiver CD is great, but then you can bracket coverage to him, and he was matched up with Jalen Ramsey a lot, and nobody else stepped up consistently.
Yeah.
And I hated the game plan offensively too. I don't like the route combinations I was seeing. It just, I don't
No,
know.
it's
It's hard
weird,
to
dude.
take them seriously.
It's hard to take. Well, it's hard to take them seriously, and if they're not going to get if they're not going to get a home game in the playoffs, I mean, it's another one and done for them. I don't understand. I
Correct.
don't see
Yeah,
a
they might have to
scenario.
go to Tampa, and your boy Baker Mayfield is playing out of his mind the last few weeks.
I
So I
is
mean, that could be a loss.
In all seriousness, he really is, dude. He really looks like a really good quarterback right now,
He
and he's
does.
peaking at the right moment. It's going to be. I think they're probably going to win the NFC East. You
Or
don't
the
trust
South, yeah.
Atlanta. I mean, sorry. Yes,
No,
I'm
not
sorry.
at
NFC
all.
South. Yeah, you don't trust Atlanta, and
And New Orleans either.
New
Goodness
Orleans makes
no.
stupid decisions. So anyway, the NFL season's it's heating up. It was kind of cool to see it. It eclipsed NBA for me for the first time on basketball in a really long time.
Well,
Um,
that's because they never put the NBA or the NFL never plays on Christmas until this year.
really, yeah, they did. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they never do. They usually let the NBA happen. This year they're like, yeah, screw you guys.
Nope.
Yeah, you're done. Just so
And without
the NFL, they can put the NFL on any day of the week, and people are going to watch it over anything else that's on television. That's just what
Yep,
it is.
yep. But to be fair to the NFL too, some really good matchups. That last matchup of the year, the last matchup of this weekend, the Ravens versus
That was
49ers.
fun. That was fun. But I
Yeah.
hated the Eagles game against the Giants. I don't think that was any good. I don't
No.
like the way Philly's playing, and the Chiefs and Raiders. I
w-
mean, the Chiefs' offense, it's
Bad.
horrible,
It's
and
bad.
this is their own fault. We talked about this before the season even started. What are they doing at the receiver position? They're not investing in it. They're just relying on Mahomes to make things happen, and they're
He can't
relying
catch.
on a tight end who's a Hall of
He
Fame
can't.
tight end, but he's 34 years old.
He can't catch it for him, dude. Mahomes
No,
cannot catch the ball for them.
no,
But dude, listen, that center exchange, whatever the exchange was, the first turnover, Holmes
yeah,
was in the middle of that one, dude. Mahomes was in the middle of that one. And
yeah,
then the very next offensive play, that was a bad pass play. That was a bad
yeah.
pass play. Like you
He's
can't throw that ball.
no, no poor
So
mechanics. I think he's pressing because I think he's feeling the pressure.
absolutely.
You
Do you
know,
count
and
him out? Do you count him out though? Do you count him out going
I'm
into the
not
playoffs?
out on him, but I'm this close to being out on the team. I'm not fully out yet.
Yeah.
But and the defense has been really good for them, right? The Raiders did nothing offensively
I
yesterday.
still, dude, I watched most of that game and I still can't tell you who their quarterback is. Still can't name
Yeah,
their quarterback right now. I have no
it's a
idea what
rookie
his
from
name is.
is it Aiden O'Connell, rookie from Purdue? Yeah,
Maybe it might. You're
yeah.
probably number 4, right? You're probably right. I have no idea what that kid is. Yeah,
It
couldn't
didn't
tell you.
even matter yesterday, and so man, they gotta figure it out because it's starting to fall apart here.
Kevin, um, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Christmas to New Year's week. We will talk back right after the OU game. Probably, I think that game's on a Thursday. We'll talk on
Thursday
Friday,
night.
and we'll get everybody ready for Texas and Washington. It's going to be huge. We'll talk all the New Year's Six bowl games and the playoff games. Get everybody ready for that. Kevin, have a great night. Boomer.
Okay.